While I was trying to shamelessly shield my epic Onimusha Warlords video in vain hopes that at least somebody will watch it, some guys called out my accent and said that I sound like a Mexican. Really? Come on guys, have you never met a Mexican? I thought you import them over there like we import Syria. Among others, this blessed Anon was actually quite constructive and said, dude, you should total overdose, blah 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 blah. So this one essay is for you.
Buenos dias, señor and señorita. Ay, nada. Never mind. When I was a kid, I played me games on the original PlayStation and PlayStation 2. For the PlayStation 2, I used to sort games on the GameSpot website by their score and try out anything above a review score of 7. Getting a 7 20 years ago is like getting a 9.5 now. Seriously, I at least tried if not completed all of these. Racing games, dancing games, sport games, action games, fighting games, gringo. If a game scored above 7, I played it. But that's beside the point. Somehow, it just happened that this gringo over here is responsible for me not checking out the game that's the topic of this video. However, that means that now I can dive into it without distorted expectation or nostalgia. Okay, that's not fair. For some reason, I expected it to be una montana de mierda de pollo. So the game starts with, actually, before it even starts, you are greeted with this amazing and funny intro movie that is accompanied by some interesting music choice. Now back in 2005, I will cringe and laugh and roll my eyes at this game mocking video games as high artistic endeavor. Now I'm a bit older and a bit less mature, so all I kept thinking was, Santa mierde, this speaks to me on so many levels. Total Overdose, the Gunslingers Tequila, was developed and released in 2005 by Danish video game development studio called Deadline Games. The studio well known for developing, I guess, Total Overdose. TD was published by Eidos, and after Deadline Games went bankrupt, some of their developers ended up working for IO Interactive, which is a subsidiary studio acquired by Eidos before they all got bought off by Square Enix in 2009. And esto es importante, pero... Okay, I guess it's just useless trivia. La introduction to the game feels a bit clunky. You play as a DA agent in My Mexico trying to get some files on a drug lord military leader or something. Clunky is not the right word, more like disorienting. You get thrown right in the middle of action and I'm all for that, but the game constantly interrupts its own introduction with cutscene after cutscene and tutorial pop-ups. Another thing you notice are quote-unquote odd controls and sensitivity along with a hybrid lock-on mechanic where you don't really aim but point in the direction of a Mexican and bullets might hit him even if the crosshair is not on him. It takes a bit to get used to it, but after that it's sombre ruedas. By the time you reach the end game, you won't even notice the lock-on aiming because you'll adjust and point at the target it is. Unless you suck at video games, but to be fair in that case you won't even make it very fast. So our DA agent makes it to the airplane only to discover that there's a mole within the DA que está cooperando con el villano mexicano.
Been fast, Ernesto, but maybe you should try exercising your brain sometimes. Papa Muerte thanks you.
Dirty DA agents ambushed our hero and threw him out of the plane. Why would you not shoot a man before throwing him out of the plane? Oh wait, what? He overdosed?
Hard work.
The story, as we learn, is being retold to Colonel Campbell by the DA agent's son, who is also a DA agent and decided to get undercover in Mexico. And I got bored and zoned out so badly during this part. Luckily, this is where you get to shoot some hombres and you realize two things. A, okay, this gameplay is not so bad actually, and B, la música está increíble, but more on that later. The gameplay seems to be inspired by Max Payne or Dead to Right, which is a poor man's Max Payne that somehow got 2 sequels. What's funny is that I had this impression and then I read an interview with the developer where they cited these 2 games as their inspirations. Yes, that is correct. There are people who actually played Dead to Right on this planet. I know, I'm a standard as well. So let's get the story out of the way. You conclude this additional tutorial segment with the Dead's DEA agent's son getting blown up and paralyzed, which leads to him getting his convicted psycho twin brother out of prison in order to take him back to Mexico undercover to pretend it's actually him and uncover details of their father's death so they can catch the mole that got their father killed, who is later revealed to be also voiced by Colonel Campbell. Well, gracias, madre de Dios. We got that out of the way. So the game finally starts and you play as the twin brother, and it appears that this game is also some light GTA where you walk around, steal cars and collect things. Now that is something that a hacking pleberino gringo would think. Me, on the other hand, I was in many Mexican standoffs with todo tipo de videojuegos, and all I see when looking at this are Tony Hawk games and their sense of speed and scoring. I'm using other games as a point of reference, but that's misleading. In fact, while it seems that it borrows some stuff from other games I mentioned, they all tie into creating a unique and interesting experience that's still holding up even today. The game is ridiculously entertaining to play, judging solely by the gameplay it offers. When you factor in the dynamic soundtrack, unlockable power-ups, immersive atmosphere, arcade-like nature, sense of chaos, score chasing, and borderline offensive humor, you get a pretty decent and unique game. Andale gameplay. You kill Mexicans with cars, explosions, melee attacks, and with shooting them in slow motion. What sets all of this apart is the diverse range of movements available in slow motion. You can dodge in every direction, run on walls, jump on walls, and even jump out of moving vehicles, all while in slow motion and continuing to shoot. Your kill count during a short span of time serves as a combo meter, and upon reaching a various thresholds, you regain health and earn loco moves. These power moves are one of the greatest and funniest features ever put in a third-person shooter. I am not exaggerating at all. Let's briefly mention all of them. Number 1, the Golden Gun. It's basically an insta-kill on every enemy except bosses. You get 3 bullets and all you need to do is press a button for an enemy to evaporate. I absolutely love this zoom in. Number 2, the Tornado, or how our character likes to call it, Huracan Ramirez. El Gringo spins around, yelling, Huracan Ramirez, and people die or stuff explodes. I absolutely love Huracan Ramirez. I use this power just to hear him say Huracan Ramirez. Sometimes he wouldn't say Huracan Ramirez, and that would make me frown. Next is El Toro, where our character is running around and headbutting enemies like a bull. Not an African American bull, just a bull. Not as fun to use as other powers because you can get stuck circling around enemies and it takes too long and sometimes it won't even kill the pendejo. Number 4 is El Mariachi, which is a reference to the 1995 movie Desperado, where Antonio Banderas, the Spanish Brad Pitt, portrays El Mariachi, a character on a quest for revenge who wields guns in a similar fashion near the end. Well, his friends do it, well, whatever. Number 5 is you summoning Sombrero Muerte. A dude wearing a sombrero, shooting grenades out of his gun, blowing everyone up. I absolutely love how everyone is trembling and whispering his name in fear whenever you summon him. Sombrero Muerte. Number 6 is my favorite and the funniest gag in the entire game. Misterioso! You summon a luchador called Misterioso, who passionately curses and chases enemies with a baseball bat, just like I would like to do. The sounds he makes are beyond funny. The first time I summoned him, I almost died laughing. Sometimes the game would get a bit slow and I would just summon him to cheer me up. In fact, let me show you how it feels playing the game while using this power. And finally, Piñata Boom Boom. Piñata Boom Boom! This one is just, I don't have words for it. You throw a piñata and Mexicans run toward it, yelling happily, attracted to it like some brain-damaged kids, and then it explodes, killing all of them. Piñata Boom Boom! I can't even tell is this supposed to be offensive. Whoever directed the sound effects for this game is a hecking genioso. Seriously, the concept of the power move is cool, but the sounds the cholos are making are hilarious, if not borderline racist. I mean, imagine if the game was set in Detroit and you play as a white American throwing a bucket full of chicken nuggets and then having a bunch of...
Oh my god, stop. What are you doing?
Ay, mi chiquita, ¿cómo estás?
You can't say stuff like that.
Ay, caramba, sí, sí. Está bien, mi amore. Lo siento. Gracias. You're correct. Where was I? The basic progression is old school and really simple. You get a story mission, then have to rank up your score by doing side challenges before tackling another story mission. The game features a really cool scoring system that is based on the moves you execute, how acrobatic you are, and some additional environmental actions you can perform. Sometimes you shoot a guy and his head will fly away, and if you manage to catch it before it falls on the ground, you earn extra points. There are also driving missions and forklifting missions, and I sincerely hope that whoever made the forklifting missions had died by now.
It's so
Actually, that is needlessly vitriolic. I take that back. They're like only dos of those, o lo siento, cabrón. I wish you all the health in the world. La Idiota from GameSpot said that the game has no depth. ¿Qué?
Nani?
This game has the deepest combat system ever seen in a third-person shooter. Uncharted developers wish that they could be this unrestrained and make Nathan Drake do all the crazy gunplay you can do in this game. Every gameplay mechanic complements the other, and they all serve the overall goal of delivering non-stop, over-the-top action. And that's it. I don't want to go in depth because it's boring and my cord is getting cold. So let's get to the best part of this game. The soundtrack, la música, and what it brings. Ay caramba, this has to be one of the greatest soundtracks in la historia de los videojuegos. You notice it by the time you get to the third mission or so, that every encounter seems to have a different track playing. These range from old school hip hop to traditional Mexicana música. I would go so far as to say that this game has the best licensed music mixing I've heard since Mark Katzko's Getting Up. What I mean is, it's easy to incorporate licensed music with lyrics while navigating through static screens of sports or racing games. It's a wholly different thing doing it during high-action gameplay without it being distracting. There's a reason why you can listen to the radio in GTA while you are driving, but never when you are in a shootout on foot. Every single encounter in every mission during the game is accompanied by incredibly catchy music loops that enhance the overall experience. I think I said that the soundtrack is dynamic, which means that some levels would have songs that would change depending on the combo count. This is cool, but you need to play it yourself, amigo, to fully understand in what way it changes your approach to encounters. This has to be the only game I ever played where I didn't want the combo to end so the music wouldn't stop, and I wanted to keep going to see if it changes even more. I kept thinking how people were blown away when DMC5 did something similar, but it's nowhere near the level of Total Overdose. The biggest reason is the variety. Devil Trigger is a gay but cool song. Having it stop and go for 10 hours gets annoying, regardless of whether the bass is louder or not. In Complete Overlord Cangre Mexico, there are so many different songs. During the credits, you can see a list of all the songs used, and that part is longer than the section crediting the developers, as it should be. I wonder who is responsible for this music. Ah, that explains a lot. Check out this part. Licensed by kind permission. Ah, this warms up my heart. This is so wholesome. Sometimes a level would play a 20-second loop of a song and you would think, okay, I guess that's about it. It's a bit annoying, okay, whatever. But then, a few missions later, you hear the same loop, and when you reach the combo threshold, mariachi start singing along out of nowhere. It gets so goofy and out of place that you have to burst out laughing. I don't have the English proverbs high enough to communicate how much fun I had because of la música. A particular driving mission stands out because every time you cross a checkpoint, a new instrument is introduced to the track playing. The soundtrack is not the only reason why this game excels so much in creating the atmosphere. There are many small details. People randomly coughing while walking, chickens making noises on every corner, people cursing and yelling profanity out of nowhere. I would call it racist, but then I thought to myself, this isn't how we Mexicans are. This is how Danish people in 2005 who never saw Mexicans before would depict them. I mean us. According to the American movies they watched that were made during the 90s and early 2000s, the developers were in love with Robert Rodriguez's movies, and yeah, they apparently traveled to Mexico and interacted with locals. So, you tell me.
You tell me.
I don't know what to think. It's cheesy on purpose, exaggerated to the point where it looks back from being offensive into being funny. Although some of the main characters' one-liners felt mean-spirited. Saying that we Mexicans are smelly is just mean.
Man, that's just mean. That's mean, man.
Mean and completely uncalled for. The enemy variety is also commendable, at least visually. You shoot people wearing different gang stripes. You shoot short people, mind you, not midgets, but short people. People with big ears, women wearing bikinis, military guys. Near the end, they introduce enemies wearing armor and helmets that are harder to kill, and it never gets stale. One complaint I would have is the autosaving that you can't turn off. Autosave takes longer than the loading itself, and it's annoying when you are replaying a short mission over and over. I played PS-DOS version and had this problem, but it's probably non-existent on the original Xbox or PC. And finally, the ending. The ending is great!
Excelente! Es muy bueno.
The game ends! That's great! It doesn't drone on forever, wasting your time going from point A to point B just to start another mission. It made me reflect on how much I hate the artificial weight that modern games are using to prolong their playtime. Unless your game is based on exploring and wandering, you don't need to force me to physically get to the guy giving me the mission. In fact, I really like how open world is handled in this game. You open a menu, you select a mission, and you start the damn mission. It took me around 10 hours to complete the game, cause I was chasing those high scores to see what I will unlock next. That's how it's supposed to be done. The game's length is perfect for a game like this. Aside from one particular forklifting challenge, there was never a point where I felt like I was not having fun. So again, thank you Anon, and you, chinga tu madrese!